will be for the initiation of projects through the PMO intake sheet. So as you can see in this sheet here, if we scroll all the way over to the left, all of this information from the request number, request name, description, scope, all of this information here should look very familiar as to what you previously received within an alert coming off of your aggregate intake sheet. What we've done now is we've gone ahead and at the point that you're assigned to a project within that aggregate intake sheet, it will get moved into this intake sheet that is specific to the City of Columbus Department of Technology PMO. Reason being is because now if you scroll over to the right, you can see all of these new columns that have been added here, starting with this first one in blue. These first three are, of course, associated to the BSAs, and then the second three here are associated to the project managers. One way to quickly indicate which of these fields are required for each of the teams or each individual is to simply go and look into this information section up here for this specific column. If you hover over that, you can see here, this is BSA required, project manager. Here you can see there's some additional context. So this is for Misty to assign the project manager for this project. Scrolling over, you can see some additional context. So a project name is required for both the BSAs and the project managers. And the name should include the project name and the corresponding agency. You should follow these descriptions for each of the information added to ensure that for each type of project that all the required fields are filled and that they're all filled out in a standardized format. If I continue to scroll, you'll notice here that there is a bright red column. This one's specific to projected PMO hours. Wherever there is a red column within the intake sheet means that this column will trigger an alert notification or an update request. So once you go ahead and enter in those projected PMO hours, what this will do is this will actually send out your My Time request for you automatically. If you scroll over, you'll have those assignments made for your executive sponsor, project sponsor, some additional context, the project work type. So as you can see, this is required for project managers. Then the BSA work type is obviously required for the BSAs. There's drop-down menus in here as well, so you can easily select those options. Scrolling to the right, you'll see now we have another red column here, the target date for the kickoff meeting. This will trigger an alert to all stakeholders. So everyone who has been identified here, as well as who is the BSA and who is that project manager. If you scroll to the right, at that point, that project manager will be able to come in here and assign whether or not they need resources for this project. So in these responsibility columns, you can come in and using the drop-down menu, select whether a resource is needed or whether it's actually not applicable for this project. Once you've gone ahead and entered in that context there, you scroll over to the right and you'll see that there's now a resource assignment due date column, again, signified as an alert or action with this red color. So when you go ahead and enter in each of this information for your resources, you will set a due date for when those resources need to be assigned by. And then what that will do at that point is that will actually trigger an update request with a report to go out for those resource requests to get fulfilled. Once all of this information is added on this line item, there's a few other boxes here to the right. So you'll see there's a checkbox for ready for SCC. SCC simply stands for Smartsheet Control Center, which is the program that will actually be creating these projects for you. And then to the right, we have a validation column. So the reason we have yes, ready for Smartsheet Control Center is to ensure that this project is in fact ready. All of these required fields have been filled out. And what this will do is use a formula to check off this final approval box to then go ahead and automatically create that project for you. The last two columns here in this sheet are provisioned in Smartsheet Control Center and project URL. These two columns should never actually be edited by any user. What Smartsheet Control Center does is once this gets selected as a project is ready to be created, what will happen is it will then check off this box saying this project has now been provisioned or created, and then drop a project URL for you here. So that is the overall structure for the intake sheet itself. In our next video, what I'll do is I'll go over those requests that are sent out to each party.